Sir Lex.
Alrighty. Uh, can I speak? Oh no, just
Yes,
has to.
I can hear you.
Just making sure. Alright, if I may,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to bring up the whole issue revolving Icy's ban, which happened a long time ago. I kind of see it as an issue that affects everyone due to multiple reasons that tie into the whole banning incident. I feel like what happened with Icy's ban and everything surrounding it, it should be reviewed and maybe come to a new resolution.
Ah, so you're bringing up the mod accountability policy, right?
Yes, I am.
All right, in that case. So, folks, I do have something to say regarding this too, and it's been a little bit heavy in the private matters, but I will do my best to streamline this the best I can. So, if you can direct your attention to the admin logs, because as Surlex mentioned, this issue kind of affects the whole of the wagon in terms of like membership and things like that. If you take a look at the logs, uh, there has only been two things regarding this. And as you folks can tell from our rules, we have the three strike policy. And Icy was permanently banned, including a ban from the DeviantArt side of things, even at a strike two. Now, this came at a time when we were re-implementing the rules, policies, and strike system. But generally during that period, we did treat people under the guise of these new strikes that we had in development. And this is really important because with Icy, we didn't do that. We really didn't do that. Now, I know what Icy had done was pretty heavy, but in the case of the second banning, that was more due to the evidence that was brought up regarding his recordings, right? As it turns out, those recordings were for a while ago, and Icy was doing his doing his best at the time to try to bury the hatchet with people, including the folks he had issues with at the time. So, the point of contentions I'd like to bring up are as follows regarding this. There are a couple of points to bring up regarding this, so bear with me. So, the second ban was not nearly as major as the first strikes on Icy. Like I've talked with Icy in private about this before a while ago about this, and even he's not contesting his first strike at all because he knew what he was doing there was generally not okay regarding the rules or anything. He was angry, he lashed out, and he generally acknowledges that. So with the second banning, it felt like he was being singled out and targeted for for the recordings. And the recordings themselves, we mentioned in the log here, as it was co-written by the other admins, that it was heavily and easily able to be manipulated in terms of the context because Icy had used Audacity to record, and he did not record his voice because he didn't know how. Now, this is not something that was really challenged at the time because, well, Icy, well, he really did not know what OBS was, and people who are friends with him can back this up by evidence. And so it kind of felt like the rule violations were a little overblown because, well, we were sick of what Icy was doing at the time. And this isn't anything new, but it is a really bad thing to consider, considering the fact that members could just be thrown into a permanent ban and this strike skip. Now, Icy would still be removed from the Discord, and that wouldn't really be challenged, but Icy has not had a bad history on DeviantArt. He just hasn't. I've looked into this myself, and I haven't seen anything of the sort. So,
In fact, if I may,
yes, go ahead.
sorry, background noise again.
It's okay.
In fact, he had no DeviantArt history. DeviantArt. He never did anything bad on DeviantArt. Yet, from what I heard, he was also banned from the DeviantArt despite having done nothing on there.
Yes, so he wasn't kept under the protections of a Strike 2, which basically puts them under a suspension status, giving them access to the DeviantArt and everything like that. And another point to bring up is that the people that brought up their complaints of Icy ended up actually retracting their complaints once he got banned. Now, this isn't everybody, I realize, and I'm definitely not going to speak for that because there were a lot of people that said it was coming anyway because they just knew how Icy was. So, in this case, yeah, the kick by 1,000 paper cuts would not be considered that valid. And considering the creed and everything, this is one of the biggest thing Icy stood against at the time with his actions. And yeah, fair enough. But the whole idea is that we kicked him out when he was trying to smooth things over with other people. Whether or not that would be successful is up for debate, of course, but the whole crux of this is that that would be something that our creed calls for. And generally, you know, if he did mess up beyond in a Strike 2 and get permanently banned, I mean, fair enough. After all, on DeviantArt, if you look in our about page, a strike can be skipped depending on the infractions that take place during a Discord happening. If you have your strikes on Discord and reach Strike 2, you can be treated with a lot more, analysis. You just look into what they're doing, because if it's not stopping on there, then yeah. But generally, it would not be fair if it happened to anybody here. I think if you just got Strike 1 and then got Strike 3'd out of the blue. And so, I know it's Icy, and generally what he did was not okay. Importing all that drama from outside in the wagon, it had no place here. It really didn't. And I do not want that to ever have its place in the community at all. But I'm doing this because it's a matter of concern of the wagon, because I do not want to see strikes being skipped at all. I don't care who it is. Everybody deserves at least a fair shot, no matter who it is, no matter what they've done, no matter how long and toxic their history is. So I am bringing this. Yes.
I'd actually like to bring up an issue that happened earlier this year that can be compared to the Icy incident.
Yes.
So some people here know, most people don't know, I'm a moderator. I used to be more active at the Moray Shrine Discord server. There was an incident that made me think about the ice issue that happened sometime around spring or summer. What happened was that there was I guess I could say a pseudo rule was broken, and by a user, but because he was posting, I'm going to try to censor myself here. He was posting allowed content in a channel that content belonged in, but people didn't like what he posted, so biases were created. The issue here was that when staff approached this issue, They approach it with bias because in the past, when the Shrine was still a Skype group and when it was still active on its first Discord group, we migrated over to our second Discord group a year or two ago. What happened was that they handled this case with they wanted to be quick with it. He was like, "Oh, this person, they already did something." So the staff felt like they shouldn't have paid as much attention to this case. So when we were voting to ban said person from the channel, um, there was definitely a lack of proper analyzation over this topic, and instead of properly warning him and engaging and talking with the I guess with the member in specific, uh, many staff members, well, not many, but few also said we shouldn't have to talk to him. I don't want to talk to him because this person is this person and they did this. But with the new Discord server, we forgave everyone. We were letting people come back in. So there was definitely a bit of prejudice in this involvement. Okay. But as I was saying, when I approached this person in DMs and I told them what staff's choice was in the end, he gave me his side of the story. And I listened to him, and the only other person who followed suit was another moderator who I believe she is a helper now. I don't remember. Apparently, he was never properly warned. Staff never engaged him about said issue. And the punishment that was given to him should have been given to someone who committed worse offenses because he was not actively trying to cause trouble at this point. He was merely just sharing something that he enjoyed. People didn't like that because it didn't suit what they liked, and it ended up with an unfair judgment that I believe hasn't yet been resolved due to this opinion against that person. And,
so in this case, you feel it's
I feel
happening
like
with Icy here.
I can definitely feel like it's happening here with Icy. I don't mean offense to anyone, but I can definitely see a lot of similarities with these two issues. This said person, yeah, he's done bad things in the past, but what he did here, what he did in specific, it honestly was not that bad. And the fact that no one in the staff at the Moria Shrine warned him or even gave him a chance to stop, like they just let him go on, and eventually he got banned from the channel, and there wasn't much I could do because of this. They were just judging him based off of previous incidents instead of the current incident, which was relevant. Because what happened in the past was not relevant to the, in quotation marks, incident he caused.
And that's regarding that. Honestly, in this case, it's a matter. It's a really important matter to me on principle, not so much on here because I know regarding what he did here, it's not exactly the same because some of what he did here was really, really not okay when it started out.
Definitely.
We had to make that very, very clear, and I'd still make that clear because I know Icy will probably look back on this recording, and my message to him is this may be your last shot. You blow it, there's no way anybody can speak up regarding this on principle anymore. So, really, it's a matter of throwing it out there to the community at this point on what you folks feel should happen. I know Chune's been talking for a while, and I'm waiting for him to finish his response, but I'm throwing this out there to you guys on what you think regarding this. Do you feel that Icy's sentence should stay the way it is, or do you feel that we should work on it? Here's the problem with all about this. Okay, I'll read this out because it's long. Here's the problem with all of this, as I've thought about it before the town hall since I knew you would bring this topic up. Call it a hunch or a lucky guess, yeah. I mean, stuff has come up recently about it. I am all for consistency in decisions and rule sets, as indicated by a lot of my statements I've said here tonight and the things that I've done in the past. And if he did end up getting a second strike, initially, I'd be totally fine with him having a second strike because it's consistent. At the same time, I'm also for consistency involving what happens after a punishment. The issue I consistently see with him, I don't see being changed at all from what I've heard about him, is his extreme vendetta against Roy. I mean, you know this more than anyone else. Yes, I do. And this is, in fact, why I said this is your last shot, because this vendetta has no place in this group at
Not at
all. It just will never. And there's no way he's going to be able to bring this up in any way, shape, or form in a way that's going to work.
If he
Even
brings it
private.
up again, that's it.
Yeah. Even privately. Because if we catch any wind of him trying to rally people or anything like that, that is not okay. But back to June's message. You know this more than anyone, considering the talk you had with him the most out of the admin team. You even said that his behaviors and statements were a major red flag. They were, still are, if he still does them, in my eyes. Yes. He certainly wasn't trying to smooth things over at all, in my opinion. I don't believe will actually do if he's given a second strike opportunity, and most likely won't, because frankly, I don't see it working out between the two of them, and it just doesn't have to, honestly. I'd say the only thing he'd be allowed to do under a second strike impunity is post to the group, because getting him back into Discord is way too tall an order for me unless he can really, really prove himself. And with all the damages that have been done, I'm not going to advocate for that here. Not at all. And I don't say.
I heard y'all talking.
Yeah. Hey, Roy. So, going back to Chune's message. Call me biased or whatever excuse you want to use, but I know what I know, and I don't know what I don't. And what I don't know is why I don't feel good about this, Chief. Yeah, it is a tall order to ask this kind of thing. Would you allow me on back? And what I'd say to that is these are very separate issues, but being open about this is really the whole point of this here, because what we're asking for needs to be discussed before anything actually happens. I get the situation is different. Yeah, you said that. Cool. But I'm using this analogy nonetheless because it still feels similar from my observations. The reason I'm bringing it up here is because back then, Myeon wasn't under these new strikes of being suspended. And frankly, he would be indefinitely suspended as far as I'm concerned. And eventually, third striked for all of his behaviors, even under these new rules. I'd guarantee it, frankly, because he's still the way he is even outside of this server.
Can confirm that.
Yep. So, yeah.
Also, I heard y'all motherfuckers talking shit, so I came in here to give my personal 2 cents on the matter.
Which is rather important that you do. So go ahead, Roy, please.
Let me just get this straight. You guys are talking about Icy, correct?
Yes.
Indeed.
My 100% completely biased and unfiltered opinion is no.
Yeah.
We should not in any way, shape, or form make any condolences for someone who continues to attack me and my friends for shit that has nothing to do with anything, no matter what group it's in.
And he has been doing that outside of that.
I can say that this is an entirely recent thing that he has continued to do this shit. And I can say for 100% certainty that even if I'm not around or involved or anything, he will continue to do this shit simply to people who have the misfortune of knowing me.
And in that case, I'd say don't let the door hit your butt on the way out. If you,
Exactly.
May I-
I'm going to order lunch.
oh, what's that?
May I input
Yeah,
my
what
2
door?
cents about this? From what I noticed when speaking both to Icy and BN, and having been in a couple of, not many, but in a couple of VCs and observing behavior from both sides, it is undeniable that from a third outside perspective, from what I personally witnessed and compared to previous cases that I've handled at the shrine, on TPA, or whatever, both sides are definitely guilty of the whole feud. And the feud is not justified in any shape, way, or form in the server, out of it, in DMs, on Skype, wherever. It has no right to be here, and it should not be influencing anything.
If I may add on to that, I completely 100% agree with you, on the fact that the vendetta thing is just totally uncalled for and completely stupid driven.
It's moronic.
And while that is on Icy's side mostly, I do believe that, well, okay, how do I word this without sounding like a douche?
It really be like that sometimes.
Yeah. Let me see.
I say sound
Having
like a douche because he would do the exact same.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And see,
And-
that's the
and-
issue.
and
It's always
Go
an
ahead.
issue about miscommunication. It's the same thing when I occasionally butt heads with someone. The main issue here that I've seen is that I've witnessed provocations on both sides, and I have personally told Icy, if you do this, you're going to get in trouble. Don't do it. So yeah, he was feeling it, but I also saw things coming from Roy that were just as guilty. To be blunt about it. I'm sorry.
I think the best way to word this, and no offense to you, Roy, you're an awesome guy and everything. It's perfectly fine to not
Don't
agree.
you lie to me.
Nice.
It's perfectly fine to not be comfortable with Icy in any way at all, but at the same time, you cannot let bias cloud your judgment as an admin, because not only did we not have
No, I
very
was-
solid evidence against Icy, but we completely skipped the second strike.
That
Audio
he
editing
did
is
not
an easy
actually. He
voice.
had a strike coming into this group based on the things that he had done between members of the group who at this point have left this group. But he did have his own strikes already. We did have all 3 strikes gone through with.
That's the
But
first
aren't
time I've heard of it.
Aren't only 2 logged in the
At
admin
least
log, though?
that's what I recall. And currently I'm both sick, overworked, and extremely tired.
You
So
too.
I'm pretty brain dead.
Yeah, you
It
too.
really be like that sometimes.
But I will speak in defense.
I'm
here.
actually going to jump into the store and grab some NyQuil right now, or some DayQuil. So I have a monologue to say about this, but I'll do that after.
Buy me a
Okay.
Sprite.
In defense of Roy, I will say this outright. He has done everything he has to try to keep this out of the group as best he can before and after, and he still has. And that is kind of the crux where I'd say, regarding the issues here, Roy falls on kind of the right side because he was doing things Icy wasn't,
That's
keeping
true.
a wrap on this. And that is absolutely what Icy needed to do. Now, I do not know personally at all if he had any strikes before. This is the first time I've heard of this, so I wouldn't go off memory here. But in Roy's case, Roy was on the right side for a lot of people during this issue, and I really do agree that he took the better approach, even if he did make a lot of angry jabs, gestures, and underhanded comments and things like that. Generally, that's not considered okay most of the time, but he had done what he could to keep it under wraps best he could. When it came down to it and Icy brought it up, he would, of course, speak on it. There's kind of a whole eye for an eye matter here, I see with him too, with his approach.
And
Like,
sorry, go
if
on.
he, if you're gonna treat me like this, I'm gonna treat you like this. That's the whole eye for an eye matter. And I honestly have been shaky about doing this whole thing myself, asking people and bringing this up with the whole group, because on the principle of, yeah, nobody wants to have a strike skipped on them, and that's the whole discussion here. But at the same time, as Roy said, you do not want to enable that kind of behavior, because outside of this, yes, Icy has behaved any particular way that is not okay. He has had his share of meltdowns in another server after the banning happened, and that was not okay either. So this is coming at a very, very strict and heavy request, because it needs to be moderated heavily, because the last thing I want is for Icy to take this whole thing as an enabler for that kind of behavior at
I'd
all.
be flat out disappointed if you did.
Oh yeah. Like, I've talked with him outside of this during the bannings and everything, and I had to make this very clear to him. And in fact, we personally do not agree with each other's assessments. We don't. Our assessments aren't 100% in agreement, and they probably won't be. But I have to make this very clear to him. If he is going to take an opportunity like this, if he had it, and screw up again, there is simply no defense to that. There shouldn't be, because that's your last chance. And even then, you have to build back up to it anyway, so you have to be genuine in your approach to being better. And so far, nobody who's reached the second strike has. So it's just, I want to say, hey, let's stay consistent with our rule set, and let's give this person a chance like we would anybody else. But this, it's a matter of what we allow ourselves to re-enable. That's the discussion here. We do not want to re-enable this. So, yeah, nobody is free of bias, but as I mentioned, you can't let that affect your ability to run a server or be an admin or things like that. So the right answer, the truly right answer, technically, on a technical level, is to give him his suspension status and access back to the Discord. That's the fairest option if the strike Roy mentioned happened from way before.
Might I
Sorry,
also
finish.
mention,
It's okay. Go ahead, Roy.
I respectfully but forcefully disagree in every way, shape, and form that I possibly can.
And you have every right to, honestly, because really, it's a matter of...
Mainly due to the simple fact of what you said earlier.
Yeah.
With Mion.
Mm-hmm.
How we know for certain that even under these new rules, Mion would have gotten himself kicked out. I am 100% certain, because of an incident that happened only 2 weeks ago, that Icy would fall under that same category as Mion.
Yes. And in that instance, here's what I'd say.
Let me actually give the instance of what I'm saying to everyone.
That'd be fair.
Story time, folks. Back many couple of years ago, me Icy, and various other people who you may or may not know but are not really relevant to this story played a tabletop. Then we started playing an MMO. Said story that is important comes from the MMO. In said MMO, we are members, me and the other people from the game, of a guild called the Lollipop Guild. If one of you laughs, I will kill you.
Ha.
Murder is happening. Please wait
Yes.
warmly.
Rip
So,
Sarlacc.
We originally were part of a guild called the called Dream and Pixel. After a large amount of fallout, which was during the time of Icy originally getting banned, we left Dream and Pixels to go to Lollipop. And essentially we split up a lot of people, a lot of friends, a lot of all that. Come 3 weeks ago, Icy goes to one of the people from the tabletop game. Some of you may know this man as the pervert Rody Clemens, or Justin Rodenberg. He asks him if he can get an invite to the Lollipop Guild, as he's become sick of Dream and Pixels and the drama that comes with that free company. The first thing that Rody does is come to me personally and ask, hey, are you cool with this? Because if you say no, I'm not going to do it. But I wanted to talk to you about it first. I told him the same thing I told all of you at the end of all of this incident. I don't give a fuck. Icy is not worth giving a fuck about in that manner anymore. It's just not worth my time. It's not worth my patience. I have a million other things to be worried about. That was enough for him. And I haven't played the MMO in a couple of weeks, mainly because I've been busy and I haven't had the money to subscribe to it again. Within a week, before even being re-added to the guild, Icy was already verbally attacking one of my friends for the simple fact that they did not side with him in the entire incident that happened. That is my higher basis on why, no matter what, if he had another strike or not, it should not matter, because he has not learned. He has not changed. And I personally believe that if we let him back in, it'll just be more of the same.
Indeed. But
There's my monologue. I'm gonna stop killing my throat now and listen.
all right. Okay. So I've been talking a bit in text, if you can check that, Roy, about the discussion about starting anew with the 2 strikes and everything. And if that is true, then fine. Absolutely. 100%.
If
that.
we need someone to confirm, I can just go straight up grab my buddy and he'll tell you what actually happened from his side.
Yeah, and this is another thing that I was going to say. There are both sides to this story, definitely. I can tell you right now that Icy would probably have a lot of things to say on his own initiative, and, I think drowning that out isn't exactly fair. I think what's the best scenario here is hearing from both sides of the story and making your own judgment. Now, in Roy's case, he has been in both sides, and from his own judgment, accordingly, has basically concluded, along with a lot of his other friends, that Icy is not going to change. And, a lot of people did come to me outside of this that said that Icy wouldn't change. So, if he does earn that third strike, just like Roy said, then yeah, that'd be that. So, what I have to say is do your own research to the people that are
That
curious.
is the thing that I'm trying to say here, though.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that his actions outside of this group have earned him that third strike. And
Yes.
before anybody tries to say, but it wasn't in this group, it shouldn't matter, I would like to point out that I was put on hiatus for actions outside of this group. So shut your pie hole.
Yeah, and furthermore, this also has to do with the fact that it is a wagon issue now, Roy. No, it's not a matter of outside. If he does something regarding, this grudge match that has happened, it's been a wagon issue for the last 2 strikes. So yeah, if he does do it, it is a wagon related issue if he does it outside. And that's always going to be true. In this specific instance, the only thing I'd have to say is, yes, perhaps he has earned a third strike, but is the actions he's done outside of this a direct result of the fact that we skipped that or not? The answer is, well, probably to Icy, yeah. In your eyes, no. The truth is, this is not something we can back up with evidence.
That's the thing, though, is that these actions would have happened whether or not we had given him the third strike already or not. If he had known about them, if he had known that he had another strike waiting for him, would his actions have changed? Yes, they would have, because that is the kind of person that he is.
Mm.
Might I just say,
And let me rephrase that for a moment. His actions would have changed as a direct result of knowing that he was on his last straw. And not in a way of, oh, I actually learned something. Like I'm changing something because I know this is not something I should be doing. And more in a way of, I need to be careful so I can get away with what I'm doing.
And that is a valid concern. That is a concern that I have too. Icy will probably see this recording and be like, what? I thought you were trying to. No, I am literally very concerned about this. I have been ever since I've talked about this. On a technical level, I want to do the right thing, and the right thing is to open him to another shot. But as Roy said, he's going to try to, slink around this. And, that's the one thing I don't want him to do. That's what I've made very, very clear to him. And the fact that he has disagreed with my assessment more often than not doesn't fill me with hope. So in this case, Roy.
Excuse me. Sorry. Unmuted a little bit earlier there while I was coughing.
Okay.
The thing is, we have told him, we have had people, both friends of his, not friends of his, admins, and random people tell him, dude, if you do not stop, you are going to cause your own banning. He has caused his own banning. He has, and once again, I would like to point out that Nora herself spent a large amount of time devoted to trying to help him. And even with her patience, she eventually said there's just no helping. Yeah. He has made his bed. He will not change the way. What I'm trying to say here is a zebra will not change its stripes. He is not going to change. And I stand by that assessment 100%. and I have stood by it since the first time this kind of thing came up.
Chun says, Santi raised up the strike before him entering the Discord mine, trying to find it. If you're not too busy, where we could find it, point us in the right direction.
I believe that the strike that was, if I'm actually correct about there being a strike before then, I could be entirely wrong because, as I said, I'm tired, I'm sick. I don't have the best memory when I'm not tired and sick. But if he did not have one entering, I do believe that he got one fairly quickly upon entering, mainly due to this kind of, or not. Okay, let me paraphrase something here, or clarify something.
It was either that or
When he enters the chat, like when he first joined the chat, and when I consider him as joining the chat and being active are two separate time periods. Because he was invited there by me originally. He was invited into the chat by me originally during the game, and then the incidents with him happened a couple of years later. Which part of the reason why I'm so vehemently just against him being able to come back is over how stupid the reasoning of why all of this happened in the first place is. Because all of this happened because he assumed I was talking shit about him when I had said nothing to the person in question about him, about anyone, or about anything. He just immediately assumed that it was me and has held on to a grudge for the last 4 years because of this.
And it's really not going to work out. And, I don't see him ever being able to earn a way back into the Discord if he continues that vehement grudge.
Because
he has is the thing, Diz.
He's voiced.
He continues. He has continued. He has done nothing but continue this.
Like,
when it comes to me.
I have heard it like a tired, broken record at this point. He has mentioned you a lot beyond this point. I will confirm that on a personal level. And I don't think Thurlex can deny that. I don't think Dan can deny that.
No one can.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can really deny that. But what I'm saying here is it should be a matter of what people think should happen, because in my eyes, if he does get back in and he does start uploading Walfus to the group, all of it's going to be held within scrutiny, not just by the admins, but by everybody around him. There's going to be so much focus on him. If he does step out of line, even just once, gone. I'd not contest it even a little bit.
Might I add something? I remember, who was it? Chun. I think Chun brought up the comparison between Neon and Icy. Something that I would like to note, just a little, something I feel that should be mentioned, is that it can't be denied that there are individuals who are known to be rather, to put it nicely, iffy throughout a variety of Western Toho communities. A good thing to do here is just to more, how do I say this? Just to make that comparison make more sense or less sense, take it how you will. It is worth looking into track record. No. I'm trying to connect to what you said because this is important. There are track records for individuals like Neon and Icy. Like as you said, DMs and I think another server.
I meant what you said in the chat about him being the least bad person we've banned. I vehemently disagree with that statement.
No. I'm talking about all Western Toho communities as a whole, besides the Wafa Station wagon. Oh, definitely.
No, I know what you mean by that. It's the statement that he was the least bad band member.
No, I didn't mean in the Wafa Station wagon. I meant as the Western Toho community.
I'm aware. I'm not saying from the Wafa Station wagon. I mean in general.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So,
but what I'd like to note is that there are people here who do have a track record, and a good thing to hear is compare these track records to people who hop throughout Western Toho communities. From my knowledge, Icy has quite a bad track record here, and I think in like one other server in DMs, and then MMO groups that aren't even relevant to the Wafa Station wagon, except only fruition. Icy is asleep. I'm 99% sure. He's probably asleep.
Yeah, he is. I think so.
I'll agree with Gil that I've been searching like this entire server. I do not see any mention of a third strike, and I don't know if it was a formal third strike or if it was some informal third strike that was never documented. Because if it was the latter, then that sounds really iffy to me, because then, okay, so what happens if someone does something that's not so bad and they get an informal third strike? Again, connecting back to what Diz said, this affects the entire server. And it's really not fair to the other people who may have done something far less severe than Icy.
In other words, basically, the principle of it is that somebody will come along. Yeah, somebody will come along and say, oh, hey, you kick this guy out for 2 strikes? That could happen to me. And, of course, I don't think it's fair that Icy himself bring up those criticisms himself, because this is a very heavily debatable topic. In fact, there's a lot that is debatable here, like the vehemently bad person comment and everything like that works both ways, really, in this case. But it's the principle of this, because one more chance under all this heavy scrutiny, it's not gonna work for most people. And if Roy is true about what Icy says, it's just not going to work at all. But I do not want the track record of our group to basically say, hey, we can just skip a strike whenever we don't like a person enough.
Don't be the shrine. We did that.
I agree with you on the principle of the matter. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I also do remember him getting his first strike, not from me even. I do not remember who did it, but I do remember him getting his first strike, and it was not documented in the end because it was just a simple strike, mute, possibly a boot out of the chat for a little while.
I mean, to be fair,
but I do not remember who did it. I do not remember when it did it, when it was, but I do remember it happening. And I do remember it was because of the exact same thing that kept going.
Okay, so here's the thing regarding that. We need a clear answer on it, obviously, but here's the thing. If it's anything like a warning, a text mute, a temp kick, or anything like that, if it's not a strike, it does not count. Unfortunately, as it is, if it's a warning or if it is a warning, we have not treated them like strikes in the past, so we should not treat them like strikes now. But go ahead.
Well, that's the thing, is the first strike was always a warning.
That doesn't sound right.
The first strike is a warning and a text mute where they have been told this is not allowed. They, at least as far as my understanding of it is that the first warning is the first strike is a warning and a text mute. Then it was a 1-day ban, and then it was indefinite ban depending on various factors.
Oh, so we're talking
Our
about
old-
the punishment.
our old strike. Yeah, our old strike system. Our old strike system was a temporary ban up to a week or a month, depending on the severity of a situation. The second strike was a ban with appeal that was unlocked to people after a month, and people could write in what they did wrong, acknowledge it, and come back under the guise of their appeal. And if they broke their appeal, they were on third strike, and that was permanent. Yeah, so I do not recall giving Icy a temporary ban or anything. I do not recall the kick or anything like that either.
How long
Again,
ago would this have been?
It would have been 2 years or so ago. 2 to
That's
3 years ago.
long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
which
2
is
years.
one of the reasons why it wasn't documented, is because it was so long ago that it was before we realized, it was before we had a set in stone all of this.
We didn't even have admin logs back then.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
But both of his other kicks were documented in the admin logs.
Are you looking at those now?
I looked at them a minute ago. I would look through the admin Discord to talk when we talked about this kind of shit, but I'm on the phone and that takes to go through everything.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I understand. But in the event that it is a proper strike documented, then yeah.
Personally, I do believe that it is moot, simply because this is the kind of thing that he has done repeatedly, both in this group and outside of it, is find any small technicality or anything that he can to weasel his way back in to continue doing what he has been doing.
Yeah, and I don't want him I don't want to hear him say anything of this sort in the event he listens to this saying you're doing the same thing, because no. Let's not
At this
go there.
at this point, I just feel like at this point it's more that we have to sort of defend the principle of the strike system. I feel like that's the main issue. Like, we're shifting from ICE to the strike system. This has brought it up a lot, and we agreed on it, like, throughout this town hall. That's my main concern at the moment. If ICE did do something 2 weeks ago, whatever. It's gonna bite him in the ass. He's not coming back in. What I'm more concerned about now is this strike system and how it seemingly, to the public eye, looked like a strike was skipped, and that worries people.
And this is
Worries
also
me.
Mhm. This is also a problem, Sir Lex, because as they are recorded in the admin logs, this was documented both times as a first and second strike.
But no third.
Yeah, not a third. And it was treated as a third in the second strike, but it was still considered strike number 2 in terms of the logs. Like, even back then, during the whole matter of this going on, this was not contested. Like, only now are we getting the news that there may have been a first strike before. There was no concern of that back then.
Who could we ask
What are you
about it?
talking about, my friend in the chat?
I'm talking about when the admins were talking about this matter, it was agreed upon first strike when we did ban him the first time. And we treated it as that because he came back, because literally he would have been under the suspension rules at the time, because we had those in the works. I can't hear you, Roy. You're cutting out.
You're cutting out.
Did he ever actually try to deal?
You're still. Can you type it out, please? Sorry.
Might have to leave and re-enter.
or that.
Yeah, or type it out, whatever you can do.
Did
Yeah,
he ever
I-
try to appeal?
No,
I don't
he didn't.
remember.
He
Yeah.
didn't. I can say this personally. He did not. I know this for a fact. Yeah.
Although the one thing is, if he was given his first strike, the documented one, it's back then when that first and foremost strike should have been taken into consideration, making that his second
Yeah.
strike, and that's what it should have been documented as. But apparently,
Yeah.
from what I'm hearing, staff agreed it to be his first strike. So at that
Yeah,
point, it's just
so-
semantics.
Yeah, it is kind of, I guess. So in terms of this, the systems we had weren't set up in the first place, and this one's kind of off the radar in terms of a strike even then. So I'm finding myself questioning that first strike only on the guys that we didn't have a proper thing set up at the time, and we gave him a documented first strike under the first strike matters in the more recent years when he was starting to do this, the whole bringing the grudge into the group. It was so it almost feels like a blank slate. So if we treated him under that whole first strike thing, then we were in the wrong to begin with, because we should have treated him as though he had a second strike, but nobody challenged it at the time. Either way, this does look bad on the admins, because wait, we didn't treat him as though he had a strike already. Then why did we give him a first strike in the first place? So this is
And by that, when it was jumped up to this second strike, it was treated with the third strike's punishment, where he couldn't appeal, if I recall correctly. I don't remember how the third strike works.
well at the time we were implementing the new rules, and so we were putting people under those protections of the new rules, but IC was clearly made an exception of, it seems like, to people.
Right.
Even while we were implementing these new rules, even while we did it to other people with those same protections and suspensions and everything like that, some people made it on the second strike before and after IC, and IC still got banned from the DA.
Is
He
So
could have
that-
totally appealed the whole tide. I was the one misremembering.
right.
So at that point, it's just saying
Is
it's all due process at this point.
Yeah, D.
okay. So this might be just me kind of firing in the dark here, but let me just hear me out. So
Mhm.
there's obviously some question about the first strike. So that's pretty obvious. However, if he's not sure how to do the appeal process, or he wasn't aware of it, or it wasn't implemented, I'd say give him one last run at appealing, and if he can't pull it off, then he's done.
Yeah, well, before we officially inducted the new second strike rule that removed the appeal process, it was still there. So on a technical level, yes, he could do an appeal if we had to treat him under that impunity. As Roy said, he can appeal, problem solved then, and we can therefore reject his appeal. I don't know, it just feels weird doing an appeal this late into the life of the second strike.
In
Yeah,
a way, it
go
feels
ahead.
like double jeopardy. So I get what you're saying, but we got to kind of figure out like how do I word this? We got to figure out like what happened with the first strike, and if the appeal process was clear and set up for that one. If it was, then we got nothing to talk about.
Yeah. So
So, and if it wasn't, then we got to give him a chance at least. Not saying he'll pass because he probably won't, but we got to give him a chance.
Just on the matter of principle, on the technical level,
Yes.
because we can't have people getting strike skipped ever. That is not okay.
So if we got proof that he did have a chance back then and he still never pulled it off, then there's nothing to talk about.
Mhm.
But yeah, if Raleigh's brings up a good point. If he's had this much time and he doesn't make it, what are we supposed to do?
Mhm. Well, we just let that third strike hit as it naturally should have. I can agree to that, though I will spend my time when I get back to my house looking through the logs to make sure of things. And that's what we need to do at this point. That's all we can do at this point. Investigate.
Yeah,
The matter needs to be investigated, and once we have a clear-cut answer, we can announce it formally in the notes, in the minutes rather. Yeah.
If there's proof that there was some question about the first strike, whether it's on his side or our side, we have to give him the chance to at least try to defend himself. He probably won't pull it off at this point, but we got to give him a chance.
Yeah. As unfavorable as I'm sure it sounds to some people, yeah, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Sorry, I think like a judge sometimes. I gotta treat everybody the same no matter what happens.
Exactly, and that's the point of this. You got to do that just because that's the fairest thing you can do.
So I've said my piece about it, but first thing we got to worry about is we got to get evidence about what happened.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anybody else have anything to add?
This has been going on.
I don't. Oh, hey,
It's one of the
Spaz.
most we could have brought up. Yeah. So
I'm talking about the entire hall, not this topic.
We should probably just wrap this up, so it's almost going on for like 4 hours.
yeah, and I gotta go to work.
38 minutes by my count.
I gotta go to work at 10. So yeah. Yeah, that Spaz. You know.
I'm currently just listening in while I'm driving home.
Alrighty.
Is that a cop car here? Hey, what are you doing on your phone, Spaz?
It's a hands-free device.
That's what they all say.
That's what they all say.
But yeah, I have nothing to add to the whole thing.
I wish I could have contributed. Oh, if you want to say something, Dan, go ahead. I checked Robonitori logs before the first strike reported. More research is required if we can find. Did we have? I don't remember Icy being in raid call. Do I have to actually boot up raid call?
What the hell is raid?
It was like Discord before Discord. But
Fair
right
enough.
But
Back
no
in
Macintosh and no mobile.
Okay, I'd like to bring up a new topic real quick. Can we get an F for Robonitori?
What was
Oh,
that?
what?
Can we get an F for Robonitori?
Oh. Nah, not
No
now.
thanks.
Let's stay on focus. Just rest in peace, there, poor soul.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, Dan. Would be our last thing for tonight, I'd say, and then projects and announcements. Anybody willing to take the notes for that, by the way? I've been taking the notes for the town. I've been taking the notes for the town hall, so I don't know if I should take the notes also for the projects and announcements. Would you say, or
I was asking who can do that. I'm not really
He's
nearly
recording you.
recruited yet.
Bird has his hands full managing the stream and local recording. I'm managing my own backup recording.
Yeah.
Hey, can't blame the guy for trying.
I suppose I'll do it.
I was wondering if Chun could.
I don't know.
What could he be
Can
doing?
You, June? Can you wave? Wave's not listening in. Oof.
Yeah, he deafened.
Yep. I would have asked Wave. He hasn't done it before. Oof. Limited phone for tonight. Tomorrow morning, probably not. Yeah. I'll send him something. Okay. Dan said, well, I was going to say something, but unknown just interrupted my train of thought. Jeez. Oh, wow. Yeah, I think we definitely should, June. Yeah, every other admin's on phone. I guess it does fall to me. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk it out, most definitely. We could even have an admin meeting regarding this whole thing just to catch everybody up on speeds. Yeah. The icy talk we've been having, Spaz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so anybody else have anything to bring up just before we move on?
None from me.
Leave it to the text chat if nobody's gonna say it in voice.
So who's recording the project?
I will probably have to since nobody else can.
Just give me 2 minutes. I'll take care of it for you.
You don't have to.
Now, I don't think there's
I can
anything
get-
preventing a normal member from taking notes.
I'm just writing shit down. I'll send it to you after I'm done.
Yeah, I mean,
Unless you want to do it, in which case, by all means.
I mean, technically, but I am taking the notes. It is taking up quite a bit of my time, so I know it's going to be really slow projects and announcements. So I was hoping another admin could help, but yeah, I didn't really check with anybody before this. That's my bad. Oof.
Oh, by Sirlax.
All right. Thank you, Sirix, for your contributions to the discussion on the extended discussions and the whole icy thing.
I'll be around. Feel free to ping me if you need something. See you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was talking about the community channel for. You know, Spaztique brought up the whole idea of making the community channel in the first place. So, you know, it's probably better if we live by that idea to make the community channel so things like that can get out there and, you know, have an after town hall chat of any sort.
I got disconnected. What did I miss?
I thank Sir Lex for contributing to the extended discussion chat, and we talked about the community channel. By the way, Spaz, We're talking
Good,
about
good.
we're talking about treating it like kind of like a town hall after chat, and also place to kind of put the projects out there. Shun says in the chat, we should have a dedicated projects announcement channel.
Yeah, that would be nice, actually. Dang.
Yeah, making the community channel a little bit more flexible instead of like OneNote like it was in its infant idea.
Yeah. All right, that's good.
All right. So yeah, with nothing else to bring up, folks, we are now moving into the projects and announcements portion of the town hall. Thank you for bearing with us for the entirety of this. It's been a long town hall. We all knew it was going to be. But you got a project you or anyone else needs publicity for, now's the time to bring it up. The general rule, of course, is that you're bringing up projects during the meeting is that you wait until the admin declares and calls for the announcements, and you put an I in the chat, and then we can go by an orderly basis. But
Actually,
when you,
there is one thing I'd like to bring up.
yes,
Just the over-reliance on admins for town halls, because technically it's a member function, and even members alone can start and run town hall if need be. So if there are no admins available, a member can start and run a town hall.
yeah, maybe we should consider not locking the town hall then for that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's actually a point of contention we can do for the anything not mentioned, but yeah, well, we should boot up the community channel and test the waters with that in discussion.
Yeah.
All right. So, if you have a project and announcement, once it's your turn, make sure the project and announcement has a basic synopsis, a link to the relevant announcer's DeviantArt, both in chat and in the DMs that of the receiver, and we'll announce it in the minutes for you as well as getting to announce it here. And have something to show, please. Make sure it's present and ready for the meeting. If you do not have your project ready, then we cannot put it in the minutes and we cannot have it announced. So do not worry. And before we do begin, does anybody want public or projects and announcements and publicities to return as a monthly thing? Because we were going to do that regardless of whether or not we had a town hall, and we haven't been doing that.
Yeah. And I fell down on that.
I think so too.
I'm
Very
also in
actually
agreement
thinking
with
for next
this.
year,
Go ahead.
I was even thinking for next year, just do an independent like Walpus of the Week thing just on my own anyway. So either way,
Oh, yeah.
some sort of like way to like get the word out for up and coming Walpusers and awesome stuff that just needs like more like a signal boost.
Oh yeah, definitely. That could be on your end for giving signal boost to creators and stuff like that. Whereas the projects and announcements and publicity is its own thing. Enough derailing. If you have something to announce, say "I" in the chat.
I need to hop off real quick. I'm switching from phone to computer.
Okie doke. All right. We have one I. We have two. And yes, we do count I in any form.
Let's
Later,
see.
Roy.
All right. Bear in mind, as the announcement goes on, you can get your announcements ready. So just know that. All right, so Unknown, you had something you wanted to announce, so go on ahead.
Okay, hey guys. Wasn't here for the whole town hall. Sorry about that work. But anyway, for this little announcement, you all know about the what's going on. Well, I actually don't. I don't know what's going on for a very Waffus Christmas, 'cause I missed most of the town hall. But from most of you might have heard from Spaz that him and I are working on yet another sketch, like from last year. You remember June? You remember him getting impaled in the nuts? Him being lit on fire. Oh, and drunk Santa Claus literally crashing the party. Well, guess who's back? And this time Renosuke and June have a new friend from the Halloween skits. We have the fortune teller taking another return. This time we're having yet another Christmas party. But yet we have a problem. Unfortunately, we don't have enough voice actors for our skits. Apparently not a lot of people this year want to voice act. So right now we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 roles that are blank right now. And I'm going to post the journal that Spaz posted a good while back. So if you want to go there, and I will also post the script to it, if you guys want to have a look at it. So we are looking for voice actors for this. That's the whole script and everything. Most of the these are just extras, so the lines for these characters are very, very small. So if anyone, and I mean anyone, including people who already have a role in this, if they want to have another role, just come and talk to me or Spaz and send like a sample of what you want to try out for the character, like an audio file, so I can at least hear what you want and see if it can work for the character or not.
And multiple people can try out for the same role. It's
yep,
like,
multiple.
I'll just pick whatever sounds best.
Yes, because in this thing you see it. If you look at the script right now, it says for Santa it could be Siege or because we have no clue, whichever sounds best. So.
Oh yeah, we actually have someone who tried out for Marissa, and she has the part until somebody can do a better job.
I thought Luca was. Later. We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about
that later. So yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So it's still tryouts. Either if you're a professional or a brand spanking new at this, it's open to everyone who is not banned. And I'm going to be serious on that one. And they have to follow the rules that Spaz has set in his thing. So you must be able to. Due to the club rules, blah, 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 no band members, feel free to try out. Please speak clear English.
Yo, unknown.
And I have not said this one. If you do not get in, because I had this problem before, if you do not get into it, please do not take your frustration out on Spaz or I, because dick move. Seriously, dick move.
We got it.
All right. So,
who do you still need for voices?
Pardon?
Who do you still need for voices?
Okay, so for voices, we need a Flandre, we need a Machi, we need a Star, Luna, Sunny, Parsi, and I keep forgetting how to pronounce this one. Seja or Seja, whatever one that does the flips.
Seja.
Thank you. I keep fucking it up.
I think I got you for Kamachi already.
Well, we have you down for Notori right now, so.
All right, that works too.
Yes, you can still, again, you can go for other roles, free for all, have fun. No battle royale though. And I'm going to post a script if anyone wants to have a raid for that. They'll talk to Spaz and Spaz, you and I are having a talk after this.
Okay.
So, yeah, enjoy it. So that's what we need. Just voice actors, small lines. Let's hear it.
All right. If you have your synopsis, Guy is taken to receiving for me because I'm still working on the notes. So if you can, send your projects and the synopsis and all the links and everything to him, and he'll send those right back to me.
Basically, just basically send. I could just send you the journal that Spaz wrote.
Okay, certainly. That'd work for a synopsis.
Yeah, literally, he already had everything done. It's like just there, boom, done.
Yep.
Everything's there.
All right. Is that it?
That's it.
All right.
Just need voice actors.
Up next, we have. Oh gosh, where'd their eye go? Oh, it is Gervin. Gervin.
Only 2 people. Wow.
Well, at least the town hall's getting done.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank Christ for that.
If 2 people is all we need, then Gee, you don't have to take the announcements. I can handle that.
Oh, but I was so disappointed. I felt like I was actually doing something useful for once.
Yeah, for once.
Shut up.
No worries, man. You helped out a lot this town hall. Thank you for that.
Don't really know what I did, but okay.
You contributed to the discussion. You said a lot in text chat. You voiced your concerns. And you said what you needed to.
Anyone want to read what Gervin's saying into the chat?
Okay, I can do
Oh
that.
yeah, I remember this.
So, I'm planning to make a video on the Toho project. It's a Toho guide for beginners. But alas, I don't have the necessary replays and video gameplays for them. Ooh.
So,
Hands-on instructive guide to knowing Toho. Most of the replays are outdated. Oh yeah. And now I need to find new ones. Let me guess, that's where you come in. As any commercial censoriously would say. I'm planning to find a bunch of people who has a replay, either 1cc or not, can submit them to me on DA or Discord. So you're accepting replays. Oh boy.
nothing like letting the internet watch me get my ass kicked on Toho.
For the whole world to see.
Hey, someone needs to be fodder for other people.
Mm-hmm. My biggest recommendation, Gervin, in this case, is actually Toho 4. Yes, it is one of those games that penalizes you for playing easy, but it is a very, very easy Toho game. So easy that normal is like easy on other Toho games. Other than that, my other recommendation is definitely Perfect Cherry Blossom as a very close second. Imperishable Night is the easiest, but it encourages very bad bombing habits because, well, the death bomb, it gives you a chance to bomb. And so, yeah, your reaction times aren't,
Imperishable Night's the only game I've got an entire game without bombing.
Well, say the game Toho 4, I've gotten through the game with 11 lives and no bombs, so yeah.
Double dealing character is also a good starting point. The
What
easy
was that?
difficulties, double dealing character, easy difficulties, very accessible. Normal's normal. Lunatics, hard as balls.
It is a little broken mechanically. But
If you know how to exploit the mechanics, then it becomes easy as hell.
Yeah, Sukumo Sisters are a pain in the ass though.
It is a good starting point. I'd definitely say it's like a contender for third, like with Imperishable Night for me.
Explain Reimu and Marissa.
Yeah, I'd avoid Marissa A and suck. You'd be like the plague as a beginner for DDC. All right. to continue on a Yatsumi video. For now, I'll spoil the video a bit. Can you wrap this up? You gotta have your synopsis, man.
Seriously. Good.
Do you have a journal for this, or some sort of post? Okay, good.
Let's see what we got here.
As by the government, I did follow up on the reply that you gave to me on the journal. I just haven't seen you take any action regarding it yet, and I wasn't sure if you had seen it or not.
Wait, there's professional
No,
Toho
not the
players?
replay. What I asked about on the I asked a question on the journal. You give a reply. I followed up on said reply, and you haven't gotten back, and you haven't followed up on that yet. With the script.
All right.
Well,
We
if you
can
want a
talk about
video
it
of someone showing what not to do in a Toho game, I can help you out with that.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a little bit of that in everybody.
Okay, just wanted to double check on that.
That it for your announcement? Yes, that's it. Good. All right. That concludes the project announcements and publicity. Only 2. Well, we had a censorious and big town hall, so yeah, it's probably the best conclusion we can have because we're all tired. Been up and at this too long. I gotta go to sleep because I got work.
Tiz, just you got the recording then, or do you want me to send it to you?
Nah, I got everything I needed.
Cool.
You can send the recording later, though. That'll help.
Just send me your email in a DM or something, and I'll send it to you.
Okie dokie. You could put it in a zip if you really have to. Upload it to Mega or something. I'm closing the first draft, but I don't have anything to link. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I should mention this. Wrath the Amanajaku is nearly done. I'm like about halfway through the final chapter, and my plan is to open up a development crew Discord chats, and I might need some admins for it. So anyone with admin experience who would it wouldn't be very difficult just to keep out anonymous people raiding the server, and that's about it.
I could be down. But yeah, we'll do a follow-up town hall for the next year, I think, and that'd be a good time to do it then, yeah. Once you have something to prepare.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, that concludes the town hall for 2018. The
You already
end of
forgot
the
the
year. I didn't. I said 2018.
You just said it there.
It's December.
Yeah.
It's the end of the year.
Yeah.
And well, we hope everybody has a good Christmas because yeah, it's just 2 days away. Christmas Eve is coming up. And man, I hope everybody gets what they want. I'm starting college, so that's the best Christmas gift I'm getting this year. So
I want a football.
Best of luck, Diz.
I want an official Red Ryder Carbine Action Range Model Air Rifle, the compass and a stock, and this thing that tells time.
well, let's hope you get it.
I just don't want to be on that naughty list again.
Too late.
For some of us, it's already too late, yes. But for now, the town hall is done. And that's something we can add to the list for later. Specifically, the minutes. Those will come out soon, I promise. Well, I shouldn't say that because I'm bad at this. Yeah. but I will work on them as soon as I can. I do need to sleep, and tonight's my last day of work too, so because I got to go back to school as a full-time student. So, yeah, I'll try to get on that when I can, folks. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you for contributing to the discussion. We'll investigate the matter with Icy. We'll try to get the community channel in state. You can do that if you'd like to, Spaz. I can give you an idea for the rules that we came up with, and we'll also update the extended discussions to really kind of put some rules out there in the description, such as leaving emotion out of the chat. And yeah, other than that, we'll get everything else addressed and see you probably next month. If not, see you next town hall.
Goodbye.
Until next time, everyone.
See you next town hall, and happy New Year and happy holidays. No, it's not the New Year yet.